Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Maverick channel, and here we talk about real world use cases of digital currencies. Now, if you're into the crypto space, you've noticed that there's been a tank or a retracement in the crypto market. Prices are down, and the main reason for this, and that's the reason why I want to do the video today, is because two industrial titans are fighting. That is Binance and the FTX exchange. The CEOs are having some loggerheads, which is leading to a spillover into the industry based on some past events. So guys, stay tuned for the whole video and understand why this is happening. So first of all, if you're not aware, if you're new to the crypto space, but I mean, you should be aware of this because Binance is one of the biggest centralized exchanges in the crypto space. It is the biggest exchange overall because they do a lot of trade volume, 24-hour volume, and they trade a lot of assets on their exchange. They started way back in about 2018, and they helped the FTX exchange, which is a newer exchange, to actually get on its feet. Now, each of these is respectively started by these people. Binance was started, or the CEO is Changpeng Zhao, who started the Binance exchange, which is arguably the biggest exchange in the world. And they have another arm, which is Binance US, which is also separately very big because US regulation is a bit different from other countries' regulations, so they had to create their own arm for US specifically in order to navigate the regulatory landscape within the US. So FTX, the CEO is Sam Bankman-Fried, and it was actually supported by Binance initially to get on its feet, but right now they're having some issues based on competition and based on other things. So I quickly want to go through this because as two giants fight, obviously the smaller players suffer. As you can see in the crypto space, the market has tanked due to fear because these are the biggest players, especially because FTX is not the one that's in favor right now. FTX still holds a lot of crypto assets, and there some people, there are rumors that they might face some sort of insolvency. They probably won't, but there is rumors that they're running out of capital, so which means they might be forced to sell some of the assets that they have in their reserve. So this is what's causing this kind of market panic right now. Everything has tanked. Bitcoin, Ethereum, the spillover is there. And each of these has their own native token. Actually, you can see the native FTX token has been affected quite a bit, because not too long ago it was about $22, $23, but you can see it has crashed by 32% over a week. And in a 24-hour period has crashed over almost 16%. Unlike the Binance token, which still has a lot of strength, it has retraced a little bit, but it's still quite strong. It's still above $300, which is quite impressive. So those are the two exchanges, very influential exchanges, and the CEO of FTX, both of these actually go ahead to meet many heads of states in different countries. For example, the CEO of Binance has been traveling across the globe, in the Middle East, in Africa, in Europe, meeting different heads of state to create these partnerships that are strategic partnerships to extend this sort of this new financial aspect of what's really going on. Because you have to remember, these guys control a lot of valuable assets, billions and billions of dollars in assets, and billions of dollars as well run through these exchanges being traded by different people, different entities, all kinds of activities going on in this new financial space for different reasons. So the FTX exchange, just like Binance is a huge exchange, so they have an investment arm. They have other different companies that they invest in, including FTX, which was one of their earlier investments. Similarly, with FTX, they also have other venture capitalist firms like Alameda Finance, which they invested in or which they support. So they're mainly the biggest players of this capital. And whatever the news that we're going to look at that's causing this market downturn is mainly tied into FTX exchange and also Alameda Finance, which goes into the likelihood of an insolvency, which might or might not happen. So all of this drama has been happening on Twitter because that's where we get the most, that's where you get the direct news from the CEOs of these various exchanges. This all started with CZ Binance himself, the CEO of the Binance exchange, tweeting out a couple of tweets, recognizing or letting people know what is going on. First thing we see with CZ Binance's tweet here is, as part of the Binance's exit from FTX equity last year, Binance received roughly $2.1 billion. So this is the tweet you're faced with, and you're trying to understand what is going on in case you didn't know what was going on before. 2.1 billion US dollars equivalent in cash of BUSD, which is a stablecoin owned by the Binance ecosystem, and FTT, which is the native token of the of FTX exchange. So Binance has their own native token, but they also have a stablecoin. So these guys received $2.1 billion, I think, as a result of that investment in FTX, of a pair of Binance USD and the FTX exchange token. So due to recent revelations that have come to light, we've decided to liquidate any remaining FTT on our book. So you can see how impactful this can be. And later we're going to see another tweet which indicated they actually deposited over $500 million of this token. So CZ Binance writes a tweet here. Binance always encourages collaboration between industry players regarding any speculation as to whether this is a move against a competitor. It is not. Our industry is in its nascency, and every time a project publicly fails, it hurts every user and every platform. Just like we saw with Terra Luna, it was a massive spillover. When it fails, it was a massive spillover into centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, and a lot of people were affected. So we typically hold tokens for the long term, and we've held on to this token for this long. We stay transparent. And then it goes on to tweet other things. There was Whale Alert, which is a channel that shows movement of large tokens in the crypto space, to 22,999,999 FTT tokens, which at the time was equivalent to $584 million. And indeed, CZ Binance confirmed that this is part of that money. So you can see they're still in possession with this, and they want to liquidate this money. Of course, we can see how that can massively affect. And he gave his own reasons. Liquidating our FTT is just post-exit risk management, learning from Luna. So almost tantamountly comparing the FTT situation with Terra Luna. So claiming that they're protecting themselves from that kind of risk. Learning from Luna, we gave support before, but we won't pretend to make love after divorce. We're not against anyone, but we won't support people who lobby against other industry players behind their backs. Of course, this ties into all the sort of news that we've been getting, and these are facts that we've been getting with the FTX CEO actually lobbying for different politicians and doing different things as far as politics is involved. And somewhere we'll see that he's actually one of the biggest contributors to the Binance campaign, with George Soros contributing over $120 million. And the FTX founder contributing over $50 million. I think this all ties into this whole drama that's going on. And here they're talking about not locked. We usually just hold. It removes any doubt that we would attack a competitor. Not financially sensible. We want the industry to grow together, but there is a limit to hold. So of course, some exchanges hold locked tokens and others just keep them liquid just in case of anything. So of course, there was other series of tweets regarding this drama that's going on. And obviously, the CEO of FTX has had his own rebuttal, who's Sam Bankman-Fried, that's actually his name, on Twitter as well. He tweeted out as such: a competitor is trying to go after us with false rumors. FTX is fine, assets are fine. Of course, people were making fun of this because something similar happened with Terra Luna, where Do Kwon was actually saying that funds are being deployed and the Terra Luna ecosystem is going to be okay. And of course, eventually there was spillover. But of course, we have to give him the benefit of doubt. I guess he's trying to save himself, given that there's been quite a bit of slack. The exchange became a bit unpopular given their political involvement and other centralization aspects. There were interviews, for example, where we was talking about how it's very necessary to do KYC and to monitor all financial transactions. And then he was asked a question: what about email? What if all this was required, KYC with emails? Would this have worked? Out of fear of terrorism and all other concerns, and clearly that would not have worked. As you can see, email are spread out into the world, and it's such a massive industry. So a similar rebuttal was given with cryptocurrencies, and he had no response. So I guess that's why they became unpopular in some sense, in some way. So FTX has enough to cover all client holdings. We don't invest client assets, even in treasuries. We've been processing all withdrawals, and will continue to be some details on withdrawal speed. This is, of course, in response to the customers, to the tweets out there, because there's a fear of a bank run where people will just log into the FTX exchange and try to save as many assets as they can, just in case these guys go insolvent or they file for some kind of bankruptcy, hence, holding captive all these cryptocurrencies and with no guarantee of getting them back. So users are sort of scrambling to get their assets back before anything happens. So it's heavily regulated. Even when that slows down, we have GAAP audits with more than $1 billion excess cash. We have a long history of safeguarding client assets, and that remains true today. So in response, talking to CZ directly, he says, "I'd love for CZ Binance if we could work together for the ecosystem." Now, there's all this drama going on. Of course, I want to leave all these tweets in the description if you want to dig deeper. But then there were other quite interesting threads. I'm not going to go through them in detail, but they'll kind of give you an overlay of what was going on in this space, how they started, how these companies were. For example, this guy's thread, just to introduce it to you. Well, Binance and FTX FTX are officially at war with each other. What most people don't realize is that this conflict has been brewing since 2019. Here's the complete history of how we got to this point and why you should care. So this person actually writes a very good summarization of how they started together in May 2019. FTX founded this FTX official, and how CZ Binance, since its launched its exchange with BitMEX, CZ Binance has been one of the biggest exchanges, and you can see some of the pictures historically where these two people were actually meeting up to do these partnerships. It was also announced that FTX would build institutional products offerings to the Binance ecosystem. So he goes into his own personal view of how Binance was seeing FTX grow so massively, and they were starting to get threatened by this, and also coupling into the unpopularity of FTX as time went on. Binance decided to make its own move. But going into the lobbying, you can see this very young kid sitting amongst all these very influential politicians and being a number 2 donor in the Biden campaign. So this all goes into politics. I don't want to really get into politics, but politics is always a sensitive topic, especially in the crypto space, where it's all about mainly the point is we want free movement of assets. We want to be in control of these assets, and the space is still very nascent. Claiming that you can navigate, you can oversee whatever is going on in the crypto space can kind of be naive, because we don't really know how the space is going to evolve, and there's a lot of experimentation. Nothing has truly established itself, no matter how wealthy people get. We still haven't yet found a killer application that's really going to be dominant in this space. There's nothing you can compare with like Google or Amazon, things that have established themselves in Web 2. So Web 3, bringing cryptocurrency, bringing a financial aspect into this whole web industry, nothing has truly yet established itself. So to say that certain things, certain realizations should be there, such as navigate or KYC, or being able to say what smart contracts do, what they don't, or saying that certain cryptocurrencies are not securities, others are securities, and yet these things actually spread over on a global scale. Who has power over making these decisions? All these things you can't establish that they already exist. They already pre-existing laws that can govern these things. So these are very nascent stages. So seeing someone lobbying politicians to be at the forefront of this industry might be kind of naive, no matter how wealthy they can be. So anyway, this person goes into all these things, teasing themselves. For example, here you can see, excited to see him referring to CZ Binance repping the industry in DC going forward. Is he allowed to go to DC? Because of course there's rumors that since CZ Binance was born in China, Chinese Canadian, maybe there's some involvement of China. So as you can see, guys, there's a lot of politics involved in all of this, which I wouldn't want to go into. I don't even understand politics to that scale, at that level, because who does, unless you're actually really there. So it talks about the rebuttals of CZ Binance, but if you see the tweets, Binance is an already huge exchange. They want to protect themselves, their position, their reputation. So they're going on to say, hey, we're doing this as business as usual. We're not in a fight, but we're continuing our business, and others are advised to do the same. And I also don't want to sound biased, because this is a fight between these two. It's affecting the whole crypto market, and they have to find a way of surviving this. So whoever survives it, well, good luck to them. So the result of CZ's tweet was an immediate drop in the price of the token FTT, because there's a threat of selling all those FTT tokens. Because remember, Binance still holds over $500 million in FTT tokens. So when you start selling them on the market, regardless of the price, if it's not over the counter, of course that spills over into the price of the token itself. So however, it was clear that CZ had no desire to make peace. He further stoked the FUD flames by highlighting a large transfer of the tokens, just as we saw earlier. Now, as all this was happening, we can learn, especially if you read this other thread. This person made a very awesome thread tying into the different amount of the different funding rounds that Binance, that FTX exchange was affording to other platforms. All the over leveraged platforms like what we see, Celsius Network, FTX exchange, what was it called? Something Blockify as well. So we know that FTX was trying to get Blockify out of its hole, because we know these centralized lending platforms were dying off because of their level of centralization. So in here they were talking about all that, including all the financing, in the political financing and all that, the different new layer 1 applications that have been popular, like Aptos with $150 million. This was also a bit controversial because of how many tokens. This was a layer 1 technology, Aptos it is, which was very popular in this space, but there was a bit of controversy as regards the number of tokens held by the VCs, by the sponsors. As you can see, a lot of VC funding within these tokens means if they go up in price, these initial people have a lot of these tokens, they will just dump them onto the market, regardless of what the technology does, because we've learned from the past that many of them don't really care about this technology, but rather the quick money that they can make. So this person goes into all this controversy, and there was this nice chart which shows the, George Soros being the biggest funder of the campaign, then other people, and then some Bankman-Fried right at number, I think 4 right here, so, or 5 around there. So that all goes into the politics, and really the reason of this is why it became a bit unpopular. Then going to things like other organizations that are overseeing this. For example, although public sentiment was becoming more negative towards Sam, the DCCPA draft a bill marked a real turning point for the public perception. A draft of the bill was first leaked online. I have long been a believer in the transparency and open discussion of the future of the crypto law. Accordingly, I have obtained a copy of the draft of the notorious DCCPA circulating secretly in DC, and I'm hereby making it available to the public. So I think you can see, if you read through these documents, there's a lot of controversy, including an interview here. I can actually play for you guys. This is the one here where he was talking about the whole email thing and being questioned about why he couldn't answer this particular question. And in the end, he was caught on gas. So of course, guys, I'm not here to demonize anything. You can pick and choose whatever you want. Maybe people are picking on whoever is, the current situation is not in favor of him, but there's been a lot of controversy based on how much lobbying is concerned and how the exchange is being run. So much focus on centralization, so much focus on control, and all these kinds of things, trying to grab as much of the market as possible. So in short, guys, I'm going to link all these threads in the description if you want to get a better feel of where these partnerships came from, where the breakup is coming from, where it's going, the potential threats, especially with the types of crypto assets that they have in their possession. For example, FTX being the one that seems like it's the underdog right now. In case anything happened, you just have to remember that they hold stable coins over $30 million, their own token in millions of dollars that could dump, other altcoins that they have, including also Ethereum as well in millions of dollars, other stable coins like DAI, other synthetic assets in Ethereum, synthetic Bitcoin itself, USDT. So the market is scared because the exchange, first of all, there could be a bank run of people going to FTX exchange because they want to protect themselves in case of anything. Maybe they'll go back later, maybe not, who knows. But there's also a possibility of the exchange itself liquidating some of the assets in case it wants to dig itself out of a hole. So I'm going to link all these in the description in case you want to dig deeper. I suggest you read them because you get knowledge about what's going on, and then you'll be able to make your own decision about what's going on. Who's the bad player? Who's the good player? Who knows? And so you can make a stance and get a better understanding of how this crypto space moves, why the crypto prices go down sometimes, because sometimes the news is actually there that causes this to happen. All right, guys, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.